Excerpt from the letters of Lieutenant Samnail Evergrace, aide-de-camp to Commander Azar, born of Draknor, leader of the Constant Legion. I went to your house today, sister. Past the market and up the hill. Past the unhoused and the wounded. Up to the door, the dad painted green to match the tiny little shrub out front. I went inside, and you weren't there. It weren't empty. Blank space doesn't stay blank for long around here. People with nowhere else to go were squatting. 2, maybe 3 families, probably from out west. There was this little boy. The look in his eyes when he saw me. I might as well have been a monster. He was so scared that I was going to hurt them, that I was going to throw them out, to take what little they had found for themselves. They had some of the letters. Not all of them, so maybe. Anyway, I promised I'd bring him some food and trade. Maybe some cake for the boy if I could find any. I wish I'd seen you, sister, but there's no sense in wishing. If you've gone east, like I hope you have, and you're probably better off than us here. Novara's got walls to keep the Never out, but it's what's inside the walls that scares me. The look in that boy's eyes. He doesn't know Legion from Never. When he saw me, all he saw was a gun. Is that what the Legion is? A weapon? And if that's all we are, we're surrounded by people with itchy fingers. How long before someone decides to take aim and fire?
Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today we are playing Kingdom, a role-playing game about communities by Ben Robbins. We are going to play as various individuals in and around the Consonant Legion to determine what course of action they take at this pivotal moment in the campaign's history. We'll go over who we're playing in a second, but to start off with, let's take turns reading through. I dropped a one-page called Kingdom in a Nutshell in the Kingdom chat that we have going. I'll read the first part, and then whoever wants to read next can pick up from there. As we play, our kingdom, that is the Legion, will be confronted by a series of crossroads. Each is an important choice the kingdom must make in a major chapter of our story. Will the kingdom invade its neighbor? Will we outlaw magic? Our decisions will change the course of our story, so it's important we pick crossroads that interest us. Those two, I should point out, those two crossroads are example ones that the book gives, not things that the Legion is currently considering.
The other Legion was going to outlaw magic.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. Yeah. Matthew, would you read the next part?
Yeah. Before we decide which path the kingdom takes, we'll play scenes to learn more about the situation and what our characters think and do about it. Our roles give us different ways to influence what happens, both as characters and as players.
Gavin, would you read power for me?
Sure. Power has the most straightforward job. You're in charge. If you tell people in the kingdom to do something, they do it, whether they like it or not. Other players' characters don't have to obey, but you can make the kingdom punish people who don't listen to you or reward those who do.
Kris, would you read perspective for us?
Perspective. Your job is to tell us the consequences of our decision. You say what happens if we choose one path or the other, and your predictions will come true. If our choice seems too easy, you can show us why it's more complicated than we thought.
Devin, would you read the touchstone, please?
Touchstone. You show us how everyone in the kingdom feels. As soon as your character has an opinion or attitude, that's automatically what most people in the kingdom think too. You show us which outcome the people want.
If you feel like your character has changed and your old role doesn't suit you anymore, you can change roles to something that fits better. And if someone is using their role to take the kingdom in a direction you don't like, you can overthrow them and take the role for yourself. Seize power, show why Perspective's predictions were wrong, or how the people don't really feel the way the touchstone said. After we've played scenes and learned more about the crossroad, it is power and only power who picks the kingdom's path. Perspective sets the consequences, touchstone shows us what the people want, and then power makes the choice that we all have to live with. Then we'll start a new crossroad to confront the next decision that the kingdom must make. But be warned, if any of us think things have gone too far, the kingdom could reach a crisis and risk destruction, ending our game. Push for what you want, but be ready to face the consequences if you push too far. So, we have chosen characters. We have major characters that have each of these three different roles. We also have minor characters who will fill in as necessary for scenes. Obviously, we have a lot more characters on the table than what we have that we're about to name here, so people might emerge. But these are the people that we're most interested in having on screen. Why don't we say who we're playing and what role they have, and then once we've done those, we'll go over. I'll tell you what. Tell me your major character and what role they have, and then tell us what minor character you're playing. And then after we've each taken a turn, then we'll go over bonds. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
Matthew, do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. So I will be playing Azar, born of Draknor, of course. He, him. My role will be power. And my minor character is Serikali, the Chosen of Justice.
Terrific. Kris.
Yeah, my major character is augur Nikolaj. He is a perspective in the kingdom to start. And my minor character is Dorado the Adamant from the other legion.
Excellent. Gavin.
My major character is Lark the Reticent. I am a touchstone, and my minor character is Sophina, the Senator of the Eyes of Smoke.
Devin.
I'm playing Kael Osier, the Smiling Willow. They, them. They are a touchstone, and my minor character is Captain Abuna Lance.
Excellent. I will be playing Speaker Weigraf. He, him, the current head of the Senate. I have someone has written here. Everybody loves him, and he's always to be trusted. A real Dumbledore.
What the?
And I have to. I just got to take it on face value. That seems correct. It seems like everyone loves him, and he's always to be trusted, which is good because he's a power. My minor character will be Samnail, Azar's man-at-arms.
Azar's Zizem at arms.
Oh, yeah. I wondered about that, but it seems simpler.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Which
Lieutenant?
I think... Lieutenant's not bad.
That is good.
Yeah.
I always liked that better than Lieutenant.
I've never been able to figure out where it's from, other than that it's sometimes...
It's British.
Well, yeah, I know that it's British, but I don't know where it's from in the context of being British. Is it just that they wrote the letter F instead of the letter U or something like that? I don't know. Bonds. Describe your connection to the character to your left. Say what you need from them and what makes the relationship difficult. Discuss it with the other player to make sure it works for them. Your bond could be personal or related to your duties in the kingdom. It could be friendly. It could put you at odds. Even the best relationship must include some tension or trouble. The player to your right will also propose a bond with you, so you'll have two connections to two other characters. Matthew, let's start again with you.
Sure. I've got both of mine. Kris, I don't know if you've seen this yet, so let me know if you have thoughts. You are to my left in this virtual table that we're sitting at. Azar needs Nikolaj to help him navigate possible futures to the best outcome. Azar sees him as a valuable tool, but not his soldier.
Yeah, that feels about right.
Do you want me to go ahead and get around on the other one, Brendan, or should we wait till we wrap to you?
Let's wrap.
Okay.
Kris, how do you feel like Nikolaj feels about Azar?
I have written in response, commander in name only.
Excellent. Very good. Very good.
And
yeah,
then, yeah, so to my left is Lark. So I wasn't quite sure how to word this, but the way it seemed was, or what I have written so far is, from Nikolaj to Lark, is we have worked well together before, but she could absolutely kill me. I need to make sure I don't give her reason to. Like, if ordered to, Lark would kill Nikolaj. But that's Lark's job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you feel about that, Gavin.
Yeah. Probably a response being Marshall maintains a standing order to kill Nikolaj if he ever betrays the or ever falters. Nah, betrays is better.
Betrays the Legion.
Yeah.
And then I'm struggling with what Lark wants from Kael. We talked a little bit about Walut.
Is there...
Yeah.
Go ahead. Well, I was wondering if maybe there is a sense of, like... We've seen on screen this tension between, like, the Legion as mercenaries as they have existed for years and years now versus the consonant Legion as, like, this righteous force that they have been called to. And Kael, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but Kael is part of this new wave that was sort of integrated as part of this new alliance, right? And so
yeah, Kael's like the cool young preacher, that has different thoughts about how Jesus.
The Jude Law.
Yeah.
What?
Oh,
I mean, Kael's not young. Kael's middle aged, but yeah.
I just came completely around on Kael now that I know it's Jude Law. Oh my god. So I wonder if there's maybe like some degree of Lark has absolutely been in the Legion for a bit. And so I wonder if there's maybe something that could be played on in terms of like old versus new that Kael represents in a way.
Yeah, maybe there's something about so Kael. There were Lord Keepers before Kael.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
sure.
So maybe Lark is something like, I was made promises that I'll be remembered, but this new Lord Keeper doesn't seem interested in what I do, or
Lark
doesn't
fit
seem
the image of the new wave.
Yeah. In the eyes of Kael, I am a blemish on the history of the Legion.
Why?
I need to, because I'm the old or something. I don't know. What does Kael think of Lark?
I mean, my bond is supposed to be like a response, right?
Yeah. But I don't know.
I do think it's important to be true to the way that Kael's been portrayed, and that's like the Legion has done things in its history, both heroic and at times contentious. But Kael has only ever framed that as like cautionary tales. Kael, if anything, has never like condemned the Legion in any way.
Yeah.
Then in that case, I'm afraid that Kael is going to write my story as a cautionary tale.
Sure.
Okay.
I like that.
I want to be remembered as something better than that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I was promised I would be remembered as something better than that.
Yeah.
Cool. I think my response to that then is Lark will be remembered with respect, but remembered as an omen.
Nice. Gavin, does that work for you?
Yeah.
Cool.
The bond is framed in something you want from me, though. So you want to be remembered, like
I want to be remembered as good, not good. I want to be remembered as. We've been avoiding the word hero for a long time, and I don't think that's what Lark is trying to be.
I think it's fine for Lark not to have a definition for what she wants. Simply that, like, she doesn't want to be just another cautionary tale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because sorting out what exactly it is that she does want is an interesting journey to go on.
I'm a cool motherfucker. I want to be remembered as a cool motherfucker.
I mean, in a good story, you want both the good guys and the bad guys to seem cool.
That's true.
And those in between.
I was promised I would be remembered as something better than a cautionary tale.
Cool.
So my bond with Speaker Weigraf.
We talked a little bit offline.
Yeah, so I have to frame this in something that I want from you, right?
Yeah, you should want me to take action or something concrete from me. And we've seen Weigraf and Kael on screen at least a little bit here.
Yeah.
But
okay.
It could be assurances for the Legion or for the people.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Cool.
I want Speaker Weigraf to use his power to help the people. And I hope that the years since I've seen him, since we were in academia together in our youth, that the intrigues of the capital have not dulled his optimism for the future. Sorry, that's kind of complicated, but
no, that's fine.
Could we get? Yeah, if you could get down to like a couple sentences, I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to include like what I want, but then also that like we've known each other for a really long time.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about like we were maybe in the same class at some sort of a college or something like that.
In the Aliens.
Yeah.
I'll workshop the like snappy way to write it.
Yeah,
on the sheet.
That's fine. But in short, you want me to earnestly do right by the people.
Exactly.
Weigraf's bond with Kael is when Kael tells the story of the capital, I hope to exceed their every expectation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I need to figure out what the school we went to was, but I'll ponder that.
Do we just want to loop around from Weigraf to Azar? Because I don't think that's been done yet.
Yeah, please. Weigraf's bond with Azar is Weigraf needs Azar to lead the Legion to victory against the Never for the good of all Zelsha'el.
Azar's response is Azar believes Weigraf wants to send him and the inconvenient heroes of his Legion to their deaths.
Huh.
Yeah, huh.
Interesting.
Isn't it?
So, we've done a bit of planning. As I said, we've obviously established our characters already. Our kingdom is the Consonant Legion. Our concept is the determined bastards that survived the fall of the Omniculum. We're supposed to have determined a few threats facing us. I think we've got a few threats on the table. We have, in order, the Senate, the Never, and internal discord, especially as concerns the other Legion. We've also established a number of locations that our scenes may be set at while we're playing the game. Matthew, would you go through the locations that we have available?
Sure. So we have Senator Vaughn's estate. That's Azar's dad. We have the Senate, of course, where you can find Senators Weigraf. along with, assumably, the other senators. We have the walls of Novara, where you can find Nikolaj. Is this what we settled on for, like, then into the tunnels and stuff?
No. Go ahead.
I think I meant more the walls of the city because I wasn't sure if
Okay.
I wanted to, like, I don't think Nikolaj wants to be found in the tunnels is the
Sure,
thing. Like,
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think
Yeah.
this is literally the battlements.
Okay.
yeah, this is the outer walls of the city.
Cool. Then we have the archive. I remember this one. This is where you can find Kael. This is the place that Kael went to as soon as we got to the city, which is like a big archive, currently full of refugees, but which otherwise like stores information on the Legion and other things. We have a synagogue. I assume this is Lark's dad's synagogue.
Yes.
Okay. Then we have the plaza, which is a big like shopping center, currently again full of refugees. We have the Tyrant's Sepulchre, which we workshopped as a name, but I basically wanted a big graveyard essentially. But this is a graveyard for heroes, and because they're heroes and they hate the sky in this world, it is a big underground tomb. We have Bulls and Crows, a tavern, which we've already seen. We have the training grounds, which are the Legion training grounds, and we have Suleiman's tent.
Fantastic. So, I gave everyone a handout that describes what our turns are like. The game encourages us to either pick someone at random or simply go with someone who already has an idea for a crossroads. I have an idea, but I was curious to see if anyone else has one that they want to see.
I think the first one seems pretty clear to me, which is, will the kingdom take Weigraf's job?
Okay.
But we can go with other things as well, certainly. That just seemed to be where we were headed.
I think that is absolutely one to put on screen if we want to put it on screen right away. Absolutely.
If you'd rather wait, we can wait.
We can brainstorm a couple.
I would love to see one to do with the refugee situation here in the city.
Sure.
And the only hesitation I have with putting the will we say yes or no to Weigraf right away is whether or not that decision winds up being the game, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm good either way. I just want to make it clear that that's the only reason that I'm hesitant to put that one immediately first. Other thoughts? Matthew,
so
you're good.
I was just gonna say, if we're I'm less interested in the refugee question here because the refugees are not in the kingdom.
Yeah.
The refugees don't necessarily. Whatever happens to the refugees doesn't.
And to clarify, the kingdom is the Legion in this context. Like, obviously, there is like a nation, and the refugees are a part of that. But for purposes of this game, the kingdom that we are determining the future of is the Consonant Legion. And yeah, the refugees obviously aren't a part of that.
And we don't have any character who's like aligned with them, except maybe Azar, because he has like, he brought them along. And so I'd want something where the majority of characters like have some vested interest.
Lark would have vested interest in the refugees.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Weigraf absolutely would also, but
That's fair.
But I do think like an interesting crossroad, just to add to the list, is consolidating
The two legions.
the two legions,
Yeah.
doing a merger.
Sure. We talked about that being the whole deal of who gets to the capital, who gets the deed or whatever.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I could imagine some negotiating with Dorado and figuring out what the other legion, how they feel about everything and all
Yeah.
Devin, feelings?
I think Kael was invested in the refugees, but I'm not sure how the refugees affect like where we're going with the story and how it affects the kingdom.
Yeah.
Of course, it's like, should we allocate resources? Should we, escort people other places that they need to go? But like,
the way we could make it important to the Legion again is we did the job, it's over, but there's a new job, and that's we have to facilitate the refugees, and Weigraf brings that to us or something.
Well, I think if I was going to position the refugees in a way, I would want to highlight like the growing unrest and the conflict between the people that already live here and the refugees as they are, and then ask like, will the Legion intercede, or will the Legion take steps to help one side or the other?
Yeah, there's a sort of thing here where it's like, this sort of got brought up in the downtime we just did, but like there are some people in the Legion who are just like, so we're here now, right? Like we're stationed in Novar, like this is where we're going to stay. So I could see people kind of treating the Legion as like, okay, so are you like city guards now?
Exactly.
Being like, are you going to deal with the problem that people see the refugees to be?
So here's my pitch.
Mm-hmm.
People feel free to cut this down. But we established already in the last game for the downtime, or the last session for the downtime, that like a whole bunch of merchant caravans got into the city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that for a brief period of time, there would be resources enough for everybody. So my suggestion would be, let's start with the thing we set up a long time ago in terms of the two legions, figuring out what we do with that. And then time will pass because we'll have been dealing with that crossroad. And at that point, I think maybe it makes sense to then either do a refugee-oriented one, or potentially, things happen because of the first crossroad where that colors how we would want to address a refugee crossroad.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
All of these are great. Whichever one. Somebody make a decision.
I like starting with the hey, we technically have two legions.
And we're here,
Okay.
and we finally have a minute to breathe, and we've been putting it off. Absolutely.
sounds good to me.
What are we going to do? What do we want the question to be? Does anyone have a good idea? Will the Legion reabsorb the other Legion into its ranks?
Well, yeah, it's the question of who. I think it's the question of who leads the Legion after this.
And
Okay,
also,
yes.
like, I don't know if this is getting into like perspective and touchstone stuff, but like, we killed each other a lot getting here.
Yep.
So
There's some bad blood in here.
absolutely, absolutely. So
It's as much like, do they want to merge as much as it is who will lead it afterwards?
yeah.
Do we make them merge?
Yeah.
So when we make a crossroad, we pose a simple yes or no decision that the kingdom must make. We don't go into detail, but we describe.
Whoops.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, we are jumping into a game in progress. That is fine. But all I mean by don't go into detail is like, don't contextualize the results of that question, because that is what is up to the touchstone and perspective to define. That is entirely their roles. So speaking from the perspective of quote unquote our Legion, what is a yes or no way that we can phrase this?
Do we find consensus, or do we make them follow our procedures?
It has to be yes or no.
Oh.
Will we
Will we make the Legion follow our procedures when we merge? Or is that too loaded of a question?
Will we travel as one legion?
Well,
I'm sort of trying to frame it as like it's the merge is happening. It's just like
Okay. Yeah.
How
See,
is
I
it
didn't. I didn't think that was a given. Or do we want it to be a given?
I don't.
Will
think
the
we-
Legion be consonant?
We
Ooh.
we have not framed it as a given already. Will the Legion?
merge.
I like Chris's will they travel as one, because we
Yeah,
could still
that was
merge, but then not travel as one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
Will the
Devin's
Le-
bringing up consonants is also fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like being really...
We have one legion.
Kris, say what you just said again.
Will we have one legion moving forward, right? Like,
I like that. I think that's
there's
good.
kind of two right now.
Will we have one legion moving forward? How do we like that?
Sounds good.
I like that.
Okay,
Sounds good.
cool. Okay. Who would like to take the first scene? Or I guess I could take the first scene since I wrote this down.
Sure, I think it's your turn.
Sure. Okay. So when you set a scene, tell us who is there, where you are, and what's going on. You have final say within the scene. Use your roll and or change it. You can only use one roll ability per scene, reaction, or crossroads. I think this is at the training grounds where Lance is continuing to administer the training regimen that we're putting together for the rookies. Excuse me, for the rookies. I think Azar is here. Absolutely. I bet Kael is probably here. I think Dorado is here. Absolutely. Gavin, I could see either Lark or Sophina being here. What do you think?
I
I think Weigraf
think it's Sophina. Like,
yeah.
Lark probably wouldn't care. Being a touchstone.
Yeah, I think Weigraf is here as part of like a very, very unannounced like tour of the facilities to see how the Legion is getting on. And is like
Surprise inspection.
yeah, but you know, it's all very casual. I'm just here to see what's going on, to shake a couple of hands, to clasp some people on the shoulder. Oh my gosh.
Inspecting the merchandise.
There's a training regimen going on. This is spectacular. Please, pretend I'm not here. Pretend I'm not here. Oh, this is spectacular. Just cannot get enough of Lance.
Lance is starting like those sort of like singing chant things that soldiers do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Getting everyone, like, Everwolves, let me hear you howl. Vipers, let me hear you rattle.
Yeah.
So and so.
Absolutely.
Ravens, where's your caw?
I think, you know, is very, very like now, Captain Lance, excuse me, but it would seem to me that you're a veteran of quite some experience, and yet you could scarcely be 25 years old.
24.
24. 24.
It's canon now.
Sure, yeah.
A child. and yet before me I see a dazzling commander.
Who are you calling a child?
Oh, please, excuse me. It's just, by the time you get to my age, everyone looks like kids.
You should get your eyes checked out.
Probably. Now,
How can I help you?
I can't help but notice. Obviously, your squads are in tip-top shape, 100%. But I notice there's a collection of other legionnaires over there that aren't as actively participating. What's the situation there, Commander? And is gesturing very clearly to the other legion.
Sophina is walking through the rookies standing at attention and inspecting them, hands clasped behind her back. Just getting very close, looking at everything.
I hope you don't mind my candor, but am I being set up here? Do you not understand what the whole deal is here?
I'm not even aware of a deal present. I assume I am ignorant. Read deals.
Jesus.
Well,
I feel like
what is it?
like-
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kris.
I feel like Dorado and the other legion are just kind of like. You ever been to a I don't know, some kind of sports competition where like one team is practicing and the other team is just like sitting on the bleachers,
Exactly.
like half studying them, half like menacing them just with glares.
Mhm.
I feel that like that's Dorado and the other Legion's enemy right now. They're just sitting off to the side, waiting for their turn to use the training grounds. You know, we can be polite, but we're gonna kind of mean mug you about it.
So Azar has not filled you in.
Well, in Commander Azar's defense, there's been an awful lot to go over. Perhaps you could take his place in this regard.
You know, I don't normally like to step the chain of command when it comes to sharing information, but
Of course.
He's lying. The thing is, there were two legions that were kind of approaching from different angles as we traveled from the omniculum. I don't command those soldiers, so I would never expect them to, hey, you, drop down and give me another 50. You know, that sort of thing.
Rookie immediately drops and starts doing push-ups.
I see. Yes. Side glances at Azar. Yes, of course. Mum's the word.
What happens if Sophina... What does a rookie do? Here, we can name this rookie real quick. I don't actually have that. But she's going to try and take a pistol like off of the belt of one of the rookies who's standing at attention.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that rookie would do? It's Gemma. She's taking Gemma's pistol.
Oh.
I think we would need to see a discipline roll from Lance to decide what happens there.
I don't have it open. Let's see.
Lance has 2 in discipline.
Okay.
Bless.
I like how we're like fusing the games here.
Yeah.
2d6.
All games are all games.
Discipline. It's a 1 and a 3.
Oh no.
Gemma's been distracted.
So she has the gun in her hand and she's like...
Gemma doesn't stop her from taking it, but like turns and stares at her and says, he's not going to like that you did that.
Hasn't stopped me before. Starts like inspecting the weapon, you know, in the way civilians do, where they like have no finger discipline or where they're pointing at discipline.
Oh dear.
She has these disciplines. She's actively antagonizing everyone here right now.
I think Lance uses this as an excuse to get the fuck out of that conversation with Weigraf and just walks away to go deal with this.
I think Dorado comes off the... I'm going to keep calling them bleachers. Steps off the sidelines and walks up and... I guess this would probably be up to, like, Azar. Dorado is kind of, like... The other Legion, they don't... If I remember right, they don't, like, say, like, yeah, you're the commander, you're the whatever. But, like, they still have people in those roles, even if they're not, like, kind of stressing them by name as much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a chain of command for when
it's needed, because, like, sometimes someone's got to make a decision, but...
Yeah, they have shot callers, not officers.
Yeah, but those are rotating positions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think then Dorado is like coming up to where Azar and Weigraf are, and is just sort of like, what the hell kind of training do you have going on here that anyone in your Legion, rookie or not, gets disarmed that easily by a civilian? Seriously?
I think she's holding the gun over her head behind her back and like putting it arm up and to Lance, like, you wouldn't assault a senator, would you?
A lot more childish than I pictured her.
Lance is getting fucking tilted right now.
Yep.
I think Azar completely ignores Dorado and steps forward and says, "My dear senators, if it's a tour of the camp you would like, please come this way."
I think Kael steps in to calm down Lance and be like, "Hey, buddy, let's go talk over there for a sec."
Sophina tosses the gun down at Kael and Lance's feet and traipse off over to Azar and Weigraf. I wouldn't miss a tour. Where's first?
Yeah, which camp do you want a tour of? Dorado refusing to be ignored.
I think Weigraf gives Dorado a smile even as he starts to turn to follow Azar and says, "Oh, don't worry. We're going to sort this out. No worries, no worries."
Oh, Dorado, I would love a tour. Please, let's start with you.
Right this way.
Is that maybe seen with each senator going off?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted like Dorado
Yeah,
to shout over to the other legion that were just kind of waiting. It's just like their captain has wandered off. Looks like they're done here. Do your drills, right? Like it's just like run through some drills, got to keep sharp. And then we'll lead Sophina on a tour of the other legion's camp.
Splendid.
But yeah, that sounds like a good place for a scene.
Splendid.
No problems.
No problems whatsoever.
Zero.
So, I think, or I'll tell you what. I just said is that scene, and then I'm going to sneak something in the end, so I'm sorry. But what I should be doing is I have a role. I am power, and so I should be using power in some degree. And so I think what that is Weigraf is when there's a moment with just Weigraf and Azar. Weigraf says, "It's your business, not mine, but having two legions seems complicated. I'd simplify matters as soon as you're able."
My dear Senator, it was the Senate who gave us our commission.
And that's scene. So, after each scene, each player can narrate what their main or minor character thinks or does about what is happening, even if they weren't in the scene. You don't have to give a reaction, but this is the space for it. So, Devin.
I think, Kael talks Lance down from raging, and I think there is kind of a bad vibe amongst the troops for the rest of the day, as if both the legions are being compared to each other, and they like need to step up in order to be like impressive or something like that, and it's getting kind of like it's getting weird.
Gavin.
Everything's going according to plan.
Kris.
I think Nikolaj is looking at this Discord and seeing like, if they're all preoccupied with the infighting, they might be paying less attention to me, which is great.
Matthew.
Everything's going according to plan.
Great.
Oh, God.
Fantastic.
Concerning.
OATHSWORN is an actual play podcast created by
Devin Nelson,
Gavin Fregeau,
Kris Allison,
Matthew Guzdial.
and me, Brennan McLeod. All music for the show is created by Devin Nelson. Find it and more at devindecibel.bandcamp.com. Find a link to their music and any of the games that we have played in the podcast description. Follow us at OATHSWORN Pod on Twitter or OATHSWORN on co-host. If you like the show, please consider sharing it with a friend or leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Until next time.